My fiancé swore he paid for our wedding venue. The truth is he bought a house for his pregnant AP. I, 40F, have been engaged to Mark, 41M, for 14 months. We are supposed to get married in September. I say supposed to because, as of 4 hours ago, I don't know who the hell I've been living with. Mark took charge of the venue. It's a beautiful, stupidly expensive estate called Silver Oak. He insisted on handling it because he wanted to treat me, his word. He supposedly wired the $18,000 deposit back in January. I thanked him. I told my friends how lucky I was. I bought table runners in our wedding colors and drove out there this morning to drop them off with the coordinator, Maggie. I walked into her office, told her my name and the date, and she just stared at me. "I'm sorry, who?" she asked. "Mark and I, September 14th. She pulled up her calendar and tilted the screen slightly toward me. "Honey, I have a corporate retreat booked for that entire weekend. I don't have a wedding under your name in our system. I don't have your name in our system at all." The room got very quiet. I told her about the $18,000 wire transfer. She let me look at her screen. Nothing. No booking, no payment, no record of us ever having called. I stumbled out to my car and sat there for a few minutes just staring at the steering wheel. Then I called Mark. "Hey babe, what's up?" He sounded completely normal. The way you sound when someone calls to ask what you want for dinner. "Mark, I'm at Silver Oak. Maggie says we aren't booked. She says they never received a deposit." Silence. Then a long, heavy sigh, not panicked, just annoyed. Like I'd interrupted something. "I told you I was handling this. Why are you even out there?" "Because I had table runners to drop off." "Mark, where's the money? Do we have a venue?" "Maggie is an idiot," he snapped. "I have the receipt. Her system glitches constantly. I'll call her and sort it out. Just go home." I'm looking at her calendar right now. A corporate retreat has our weekend booked. The whole weekend. I said I'll handle it. And then he hung up. I am sitting in my driveway right now. My hands haven't stopped shaking since Maggie's office. I don't want to go inside until he gets home. Update 1. He got home around 6 p.m. I was waiting at the kitchen island with the lights on and a glass of water I hadn't touched. Before I could say a word, he slammed his phone down on the counter in front of me. "There. Look at it." It was a PDF of a wire transfer confirmation from his Chase account. $18,000, sent January 12th. I felt a brief wave of relief, and then I looked at the recipient name. It didn't say Silver Oak Estate. It said Golden Horizon LLC. "What is Golden Horizon?" I asked. He blinked, looking at the screen as if he was noticing this for the first time. "That's the parent company. Silver Oak's parent company. They use a holding LLC. Maggie specifically told me all wires go to Silver Oak Events Incorporated." He started pacing. "You don't know how these estate venues handle their finances. They use different entities for tax purposes." "Open your banking app," I said. "Seriously? You're going to do this right now?" "Open the app, Mark." He called me paranoid. He said I was ruining the engagement over a clerical error. I reached for his phone and he grabbed it away so fast he knocked a glass off the counter. It hit the tile and shattered. He looked at the glass on the floor, then at me, then he picked up his keys and walked out the door without another word. He hasn't come back. I spent an hour on my hands and knees picking up broken glass, and I cried through most of it. Update 2. I couldn't sleep. I kept running the numbers in my head, the LLC name, the fact that Maggie had no record of us, the way he snatched that phone. At 3 a.m., I remembered that he keeps his old iPad in his nightstand drawer and it's synced to his iMessage account. I felt like a crazy person digging through his drawer. I've never gone through his things in 4 years together. But I dug it out, and I searched Golden Horizon. One thread came up. Mark and his best man, Jared. Mark, December 28th, if I drop the 18K into Golden Horizon, how fast can we double it? Jared, December 28th, 3 months, tops. Crypto market is prime right now. You'll have the venue paid for and enough left over for Bora Bora. Mark, January 12th, wire sent. Don't fuck this up, Jared. She thinks it went to the venue. He gambled our wedding deposit on cryptocurrency. He lied to my face about it for 6 months. He had his best friend help him cover it up. When he came home at 8 a.m. looking like he hadn't slept either, I was sitting on the couch with the iPad on the cushion next to me. I didn't yell. I just looked at him and said, "How's the crypto market, Mark?" All the color left his face at once. He actually sank to his knees in the middle of the living room floor. "I'm so sorry. I thought I could give you the dream honeymoon and pay the venue back before you ever knew." Jared said it was a sure thing, but the coin crashed in February. The money is gone. I told him the wedding was off and he had until tonight to pack. Update 3. It gets worse. After I kicked Mark out, I called Jared. If he'd talked Mark into gambling our money away, I wanted to scream at him directly. His wife Chloe answered instead. She's one of my bridesmaids, and I told her everything. I told her that her husband had helped Mark funnel our wedding fund into a crypto scheme called Golden Horizon. Chloe went completely silent for several seconds. Chloe? Golden Horizon isn't crypto, she said, very quietly. What do you mean? Golden Horizon LLC. That's Scott's company. Who is Scott? Mark's ex-wife's husband. Valerie's husband. I sat down on the couch because my legs just stopped working. Valerie and Mark divorced 5 years ago. They have a 17-year-old son named Toby. Why would Mark wire $18,000 to Valerie's husband? I asked. Chloe started crying. She said she didn't know, that Jared had never told her any of this, that she was going to confront him right now. She hung up. 10 minutes later Jared called me, sounding terrified. He said Mark had made him send those text messages. Mark wrote the script, the crypto story, all of it, and told Jared exactly what to say so there would be a believable cover if I ever looked at his iPad. The whole thing was staged. A cover story for what? I said. Jared told me that Valerie had threatened to take Toby to Texas. She was suing for full custody, and her husband Scott's contracting business had gone bankrupt. Mark paid off Scott's business debt to keep Valerie from moving Toby out of state. He couldn't tell me the truth, Jared said, because he knew I'd never agree to drain the wedding fund for his ex-wife's husband. I sat there for a long time after I hung up. Part of me felt something almost like compassion, the idea of losing Toby to another state, of being that desperate and that ashamed. I've known Toby since he was 13. He's a genuinely good kid. But something nagged at me. Valerie loves Toby. Would she really pull a 17-year-old out of his junior year of high school just to hurt Mark? Update 4. I called Valerie. I didn't want to. We have never been warm toward each other and I had no idea how she'd react to me calling her out of nowhere to accuse her of extortion. But I needed the truth from someone who didn't have a script prepared. She picked up on the second ring. What do you want? I know about the $18,000, I said. I know you threatened to take Toby to Texas if Mark didn't bail out Scott's company. I just want you to know that money came from our joint account. It was our wedding deposit. The line went quiet for a long moment. Long enough that I thought she'd hung up. Then Valerie started laughing. Not a mean laugh, a genuinely confused one, like I'd said something nonsensical. Are you drunk? She asked. Scott hasn't owned Golden Horizon in 3 years. He sold it. Something cold moved through my chest. Sold it to who? To Mark, she said slowly, like she was explaining something to someone who was struggling to keep up. Mark bought the LLC. He's owned it for years. I hung up. I walked into Mark's home office, went to the garage for a hammer, and broke the lock on his filing cabinet. I pulled out folders until I found the state registration papers for Golden Horizon LLC. Mark's name. Sole proprietor. Underneath those papers was a property deed. Golden Horizon LLC had purchased a residential property 6 weeks ago. A house, 20 miles away. I wrote down the address. I got in my car. I'm sitting across the street from it right now. It's a gorgeous renovated brick house with a deep porch and mature trees in the front yard and window boxes full of flowers. Someone has been taking care of this place. Someone has been making it a home. There is a woman in the front yard watering the hydrangeas. She looks to be in her early 30s. She is very noticeably pregnant. I got out of the car. I don't know why exactly. I walked up to the fence. Beautiful house, I said. She smiled at me, one hand resting on her belly. Thank you. We just bought it. Still getting settled. Congratulations. Is it just you and your partner? My fiancé, she said, holding up her left hand. The diamond was enormous. We are getting married in September. I'm Sarah, by the way. September, I said. What date? The 14th. She beamed. We're doing a destination wedding in Cabo. September 14th. Our wedding date. And there was never a corporate retreat at Silver Oak. Mark had never booked Silver Oak at all. He just never booked anything. Are you okay? Sarah asked. Her smile had faltered. You look pale. I'm sorry, I said. I'm a friend of Mark's. From work. I didn't realize he'd closed on the house. Congratulations. I turned around and walked back to my car. I made it about 10 feet before I had to stop, lean against a tree, and breathe through my nose until the nausea passed. Then I got in the car, found an old Wendy's cup in my center console, and was sick into it. I drove home in a complete daze. I don't remember a single traffic light. I walked into the kitchen, sat down on the floor, and opened a bottle of wine. Mark stole our wedding deposit, funneled it through his own LLC, bought a house for his pregnant fiancé, and booked their wedding in Mexico for the exact same day we were supposed to get married. When I eventually couldn't make September 14th work anymore, he had a built-in excuse ready: a mandatory work trip, a venue problem, a postponement. We would have pushed the date back and I never would have known why. I texted him one sentence: "Get your ass home right now." Update 5. He walked in 30 minutes later. I was still sitting on the kitchen floor with the wine and the Golden Horizon paperwork spread out in front of me. I slid the property deed across the tile toward him. "How far along is Sarah?" I asked. He looked at the deed. Then at me. The sniveling, apologetic act from yesterday was completely gone. He just looked like a man who had run out of moves. 7 months, he said. 7 months. So you've been with her for over a year. You bought her a house with our deposit money. It wasn't just your money, he snapped, and I was almost impressed he still had the reflex to be defensive. It was a joint account. Why our wedding date, Mark? Why September 14th? He ran both hands through his hair and leaned against the counter like he needed it to hold him up. Because I'd already told you that was our date. I knew I'd be out of the country. I was going to tell you I had an emergency work trip, that we needed to postpone a few months. You never would have suspected anything if you hadn't gone to Silver Oak. You were going to postpone our wedding so you could go marry someone else. I was going to figure it out, he said. I was going to come clean eventually. I just needed more time. I stood up and slapped him across the face. I didn't decide to do it, it just happened, my hand moving before my brain caught up. I told him to get out before I called the police. He left. I locked the door behind him and sat back down on the kitchen floor. Update 6. An hour after I kicked him out, Jared called me. I answered, ready to scream at him for covering for a man who had been running a whole second life. I didn't know about her, Jared said before I could get a word out. I swear to God. I knew nothing about a pregnant woman or a house or any of it. He told me the money went to Valerie's husband's company. He was sobbing, telling me Valerie was going to take Toby to Texas and he'd lose his son. I thought I was helping him cover up a stupid, desperate decision to save his relationship with Toby. I had no idea he stopped. I just threw him out of my house, and the thing is, I believed him. Because that is exactly how Mark operates. He doesn't tell one lie, he builds a structure of them, each one holding up the next, each one calibrated to the person he's talking to. He used Toby as the story he knew would work on Jared, just like he used the crypto framing because he thought that was more forgivable than the truth. He used his own son as a prop, I said. Jared didn't say anything for a moment. "You have to tell Sarah," he said finally. "She doesn't know about you." I already knew that. I'd been sitting with it since I drove away from the brick house. She's 7 months pregnant and engaged to a man who has been living a completely parallel life. She deserves to know. I spent the night packing his things into garbage bags. Update 7. I drove back to the brick house the next morning. Mark's car wasn't in the driveway. Sarah answered the door in a robe, looking tired in that specific third trimester way. She seemed confused to see me again. "Hi," I said. My voice came out steadier than I expected. "I lied to you yesterday. I don't work with Mark. I've been engaged to him for 14 months. We live together." She laughed, a short, startled sound. "What?" I handed her my phone. I'd opened my camera roll to 4 years of photos. Vacations, holidays, birthdays, the night he proposed. Then I showed her a printout of the Golden Horizon wire transfer from our joint account, with the date and the amount and the property address. Sarah stared at the screen. Her breathing changed. "He said he works nights," she said quietly, almost to herself. "He said his job keeps him on the road most of the week." "He lives with me," I said. "Sarah, the money he used for your down payment, that was our wedding deposit. He wired it through his own LLC." She picked up her phone and FaceTimed him. He answered almost immediately, sitting in his car somewhere, sunglasses on. "Hey baby," he said, smiling. Sarah flipped the camera so it was pointing directly at me. The smile evaporated. The color left his face so fast it was like watching something drain. "Sarah. Hang up. She is my ex from years ago, she's mentally unstable, she's been following me for months. She has photos from your vacation last summer, Mark." Sarah's voice cracked. "She has our bank statements. You used her money for my house?" He switched tactics immediately, his voice dropping to the careful, gentle register I know better than almost anything. He told her to calm down for the baby. He said we could all talk through this calmly and rationally. He said she needed to think about her blood pressure. Sarah threw her phone at the wall. She doubled over, one hand on her stomach, the other braced on the doorframe, sobbing so hard she couldn't catch her breath. I helped her to the couch and got her a glass of water and just sat with her. I didn't know what to say. There wasn't anything to say. I just stayed until her sister arrived, and then I left. Update 8. I got home to find Mark on my porch. He looked like a different person than the one I'd been engaged to, jaw tight, eyes flat, none of the performance left. "You ruined everything," he said, and then he grabbed my arms. I kicked him in the knee and ran back to my car and locked the doors. He pounded on the windshield hard enough that I thought it might crack, screaming that I was vindictive, that I had destroyed his future, that everything that had happened was my fault for not minding my own business. I called 911. The police arrived in 4 minutes and arrested him for assault. I spent the next 4 hours at the station giving a statement to a detective who had the particular exhausted expression of someone who has heard variations of this story before and still finds it remarkable every time. While I was sitting in the lobby waiting to be seen, Valerie called. "I heard he got arrested," she said. She didn't sound shocked, just tired in a bone-deep way. "I don't know everything that's going on, but I need to know when he's likely to get out." "Why?" "Because last week he convinced Toby to lend him $10,000 from his college savings account," she said. "He told Toby that you'd had a medical emergency and needed surgery. He said he'd pay it back before the semester started." I closed my eyes. He hadn't just drained our joint account and stolen from his pregnant fiancé's down payment. He had looked his 17-year-old son in the face and invented a story about his fiancé having a medical crisis, and Toby, who is a genuinely good kid who loves his dad, had handed over his college money without hesitating. The detective found me a few minutes later, and I told him all of it. The $18,000 from the joint account, the LLC, the property deed, the Toby situation. He said there were several viable angles for charges, including the joint account funds if I could show the money was mine before we merged finances, which I can, because I kept records. He also said Valerie would need to file separately on Toby's behalf, but that the pattern across multiple victims would matter. I pressed charges. I left the ring on the detective's desk and asked him to log it as evidence. I drove home and sat in my car in the driveway for a while. The house looked the same as it always has. The porch light was on because I'd left it on. The garden I've been slowly working on over the past 2 summers was just starting to come in properly. Everything looked completely ordinary, which is the strangest part. 4 years of my life were apparently built on something that was never real, and from the outside the house doesn't look any different. I went inside, fed myself something, and called my best friend for 2 hours. I don't know what comes next. I know I'm pressing charges. I know I'm keeping the house because the mortgage is in my name alone and has been from the start. I know I'm going to need some time before I fully understand the shape of what happened here. But I also know that I drove out to Silver Oak to drop off table runners, and the worst thing that could have happened in that parking lot turned into the best thing that could have happened to me, because I found out now, instead of 5 years from now, instead of never. I keep thinking about Toby. I texted him last night, just to say that none of this is his fault and that I hope his first year of college is everything he wants it to be. He texted back a thumbs up and then, a few minutes later, a second message: "Thank you for always being nice to me." That one I cried over. But it was the right kind of cry. I'm okay. I will be okay. The table runners are still in my trunk and I have absolutely no idea what to do with them. Hi there, if you made it so far. Consider dropping a like and maybe subscribing. Thanks. And have a nice one.